29th December, Saint Thomas Becket, Bishop and Martyr. As a commemoration, born in London in 1118, he was a cleric of the Church of Canterbury and became Chancellor of the Kingdom, and then in 1162 was chosen to be Archbishop. He strenuously defended the rights of the Church against King Henry II, and he was exiled to France for 6 years. On his return to his country, he again had to bear many trials, and finally, in 1170, he was murdered by the king's followers. A reading from the letters of Saint Thomas Becket. Only he who has fought the good fight receives the crown. If we care about being what we are said to be, if we want to realize fully what it means that people call us bishops and high priests, then we ought to contemplate continuously and deeply the example of him whom God made high priest forever and walk in his ways. He offered himself to the Father for us on the altar of the cross. Now, from the high watchtower of heaven, he constantly looks down on the actions and secret thoughts of all men, someday to repay each of us according to our works. We have been appointed his representatives on earth. We have been granted that glorious title, the honor of that office. We now possess the temporal fruits of spiritual labor. We have succeeded the apostles and their colleagues in their position as heads of the churches. By our ministry, the kingdom of death and sin is to be destroyed, and Christ's building is to grow into a holy temple in the Lord, held together by faith and increasing holiness. There are, to be sure, a great many bishops. At our consecration, we promised to be continuously and increasingly zealous as teachers and pastors. We repeat the promise every day. Would to God our lives made our promises more credible. The harvest surely is great, and one or even a handful are not enough to reap it and store it in the Lord's barn. Still, who can doubt that the Church of Rome is the head of all the churches, the source of Catholic teaching? Who does not know that the keys of the kingdom of heaven were given to Peter? Is not the whole structure of the church built up on Peter's faith and teaching, so to grow until we all meet Christ as one perfect man, united in faith and in our recognition of him as Son of God? Many are needed to plant the word, and many to water it. The spread of the faith, the increase in population demand this. God's people of old, who had but one altar, still needed many teachers. How much greater now are the needs of this rich gathering of nations, for whose sacrifices Lebanon itself could not provide enough firewood. And not only Lebanon, but not even all Judea could provide enough animals for victims. But whoever waters or plants, God gives no increase except to him who has planted in Peter's faith and who has assented to his teaching. It is Peter, surely, to whom major judgments concerning God's people are entrusted when they are submitted to the Bishop of Rome. Under him, the other offices of Mother Church are organized, insofar as they are called to share in his responsibility and exercise the power entrusted to them. Remember then how our fathers were saved, how the Church has grown, and with what sufferings she has increased. Remember the storms the ship of Peter has weathered, with Christ as passenger. Remember how they have attained a crown, whose faith has come to shine more brightly through tribulation. So it is that the tongue of the saints has grown. The saying remains true for all time. Only he who has fought the good fight receives the crown.